Hey everyone, welcome back to the Always Arsenal show on a very chilly evening. Not. So you're going to have to excuse me because I'm glowing, as they say. Welcome back to the show. Always Arsenal show, because tomorrow we're back at the Emirates. Yay! Right, tonight joining me, we have my partner in crime, Suburban Chris.
Hello, you right?
Yeah, sorry, Suburban Gooner, Chris. I got that wrong. There we go.
That's all right, Amanda. I'm not precious.
Oh dear. And our special guest down below is Mr. Alan Smudger Smith, who's decided that he's going to have a nice chilled out chat with us in the garden, haven't you, Al?
Yeah, why not? It's quite hot, so I thought I'd do it in the garden, Amanda. Why not?
Why not do it in the garden? There we go.
Great. And you know what? I've got a bone to pick with you, because as we were just saying before we went live, if I'd have known I could have done it in the garden, then I would be out there right now instead of the hot box that is my office. So it's your fault if I start melting, Amanda.
Bad move.
I know. I mean, it's literally probably like the 5th hottest night of the year, isn't it? And we're sitting talking about the Arsenal. Why not? Do you know what, Al? There's so many things I want to talk about. First of all, I'd like to thank you for always supporting me, always coming on the show whenever I ask. It's so lovely. You are really a decent guy. Thank you so much.
That's all right, Amanda. No problem at all.
I'll WhatsApp him. He'll go, when do you want me? See, this is what we love. When do you want me? Next week? That's easy. Alan, I want to start off. I mean, obviously, we're going to go into Leicester because obviously that's who we're playing tomorrow. But what all us Gooners are talking about is the All or Nothing show. I know Chris has got some questions for you, but I just want to ask you the main question. During your time at the Arsenal, if George Graham would have said, listen, boys, we're having a online streaming service called Netflix, because we didn't know it then, following you, how do you think you and everybody else would have reacted?
We'd be a little bit suspicious, I think, Amanda. I think that's fair to say. We'd think, oh, God, will we have to mind what we say day in, day out? But it's the modern world, isn't it? And I think the lads and the manager have probably ignored it, forgotten it was there, and spoken fairly naturally. It's so different. But you would hope that what we see in the show is natural reactions to what they're feeling at the time. I've watched 3 episodes as everyone else has, but it's been good. I've enjoyed it. Arteta, we've seen a side to him, I think, that not many would have seen so far, not many would have realised. So I think it's been quite enlightening.
So,
can I ask a question? So I think this is an interesting one, because my gut feel is that if you could put those cameras back in the late 80s, early 90s. So I watched, obviously, we've all seen the post 1990 points deduction chat where George is kind of giving everyone the pep talk type thing. I think it would have made a lot better TV, because I don't think that all of you guys were as media trained up to the hilt as the guys these days. And I wonder if as well it would have been less sanitized, because my worry, I've only seen the first 3 and I'm going to be watching the next ones tomorrow on my way to the game and on my way back. But my worry is that how sanitized is it compared to the reality? And I think if we'd have done this in the late 80s, early 90s, you probably would have got a bit more of a warts and all. What do you reckon?
Yeah, it's difficult to say, really. I remember that day. I do remember that day when we were all sat there outside the dressing room, and the gaffer called us all together, and we were listening to his team talk and what he had to say. And I don't remember really being filmed.
Okay.
At the time, and our reactions maybe were just natural. So it's a funny thing, being filmed like that. Whereas we in 1991, whatever, it was new. Now, with a camera being up in the corner of the dressing room, whatever, people forget about it and they act naturally. But I think we act naturally then. And I think the gaffer did. Maybe, he was aware more than we were. But we were just listening to what he had to say and nodding in agreement, really. It's interesting to compare the two, really.
So can I just say that if Amazon, I mean, sorry, Netflix, it's Amazon. I said Netflix before, Amazon.
Amazon.
I've seen all 6 episodes, okay? So that means I can't talk to you about the Aubameyang stuff, Al. You haven't seen it yet.
Don't do it.
Oh, I really wanted to get your opinion on it. I'm sure people in the chat room will talk about it. But if they'd have been around the Tuesday Club, no.
What are you saying? Would Obo have coming out into town on those Tuesdays? I don't know.
I think he probably would. You lot on the Tuesday Club.
That would have been a good show.
It would have been natural, that's for sure. There'd have been nothing unnatural. But also,
that would have been a good show.
If they'd have started filming you in the 88, 89 season, I mean, they could have never had that ending in a million years, could they, Al? I mean, the last kick of the game, which is obviously, look, they make it very dramatical, don't they? The music, how they put it together. I think the first couple of episodes, I did say, I feel like they know the cameras are there. I felt these 3 episodes, and people in the chat room that have watched it, let me know what you think, definitely more natural. It feels more natural. I think Mikel, for me, has been natural since minute 1. And the fact that Stu, your old photographer and friend of the show, gives the rousing Tottenham speech. Is that in episode 2 or you've seen that, haven't you? What Stu did?
Yeah.
We know for a fact that is completely natural. And he was on the show, and we asked him if he was going to be in it, and he went, "I might be," and he said he couldn't tell me. And I just said to him, it was phenomenal to be able to give a rousing speech like that before a Tottenham game. Any gooner on this planet, Al, would have wanted to do that. What he did.
Oh, yeah.
He's so lucky.
Yeah.
Bless him.
Well, I mean, for a photographer to give a team talk, I suppose that's modern day football, isn't it? I mean, we would never have envisaged that back in the day. I'm not sure the gaffer would have allowed it, but Stuart gave a pretty good team talk. Hey, listen. The result was the right one at the end, wasn't it? It made good for TV, didn't it? That's all you can say.
Can I ask a quick question? So one of the things I found interesting is, and the guys on the Tuesday Club podcast, Alan Davis and that, make a kind of joke about the pit crew, about the so many people in the actual dressing room. Like you've got not just the first sort of 19, 20 players, but you've got all of the staff and everything. It feels like there's about 40, 50 people in there. During your time, I'm assuming it was, like 12 of you plus the manager? What's the biggest it ever got?
Yeah, that's a good point, Chris. I mean, back in the day, it would have been us, the gaffer, the subs, the physio, maybe the doctor or whatever. Now it's like it's a whole legion of people, isn't it? It's so different. And I think still the gaffer Arteta would be quite strict on who is in that dressing room, who is party to those words that he says, and what he says. It's still quite a sacrosanct area, I think, but because there are so many people employed by the club now, they're all in there, aren't they? So for me, that was quite interesting to see how many people, who were they, what did they do, masseurs, sports scientists, physios, and all the rest of it. Back in my day, it was Gary Lewin. He was the physio. We had the kit man. We had maybe a doctor. it's so different now. But yeah, it was a cast of thousands almost, wasn't it?
So are you enjoying it?
Enjoying what?
You're actually enjoying the All or Nothing?
Yeah. No, I am, Amanda. Yeah. The first 3 episodes, I mean, you've seen more than me. I think it's not told me anything probably I didn't know. I think for the supporters, it would have given a glimpse into the personal lives of the players. People like Tavares, struggling a little bit in terms of his confidence and what have you. But I think it's a good thing in order to let the public know how normally people feel about the job that they've got. So I think it gives people an insight into the challenges that these players have got, and that I think that's a good thing.
Yeah, do you know what? I'd echo that as well. And if you think about, so again, I'm kind of making parallels because obviously with your time and where we're at the moment, but I think that footballers from the 80s and 90s, you would see them around a little bit more. Whereas footballers these days, naturally, probably because they get followed everywhere and there's cameras in their faces, and every human being's got a camera. In the early 90s, people didn't walk around with smartphones or cameras. If you had a camera, you had a massive camera. So people just didn't do that. So you'd get a lot more people. When people approached you, it was just, "Hi, Alan, how you doing? Nice to meet you." All of that. It's not any of this, "Let's take a picture" and stuff. So footballers become a lot more guarded these days. And so we don't get the same access. If you saw a footballer in the street in the 90s, you probably have a chat with them, but they're naturally more guarded, I think. So I do think that's where this show has been really, really good, because it's shown us the more human side of it, which probably has been missed in this sort of smartphone, social media age.
Yeah.
But
yeah,
what you
no,
don't...
I think...
Sorry, go now.
No, I think that's fair, Chris. What we've seen, obviously the players and the public, there's a bigger distance between them now, which is not a great thing, I think. So this kind of program brings you into the dressing room, and it gives the human element, what are normal people feeling about their challenges, which we don't really take into account, do we? We look at their performances during 90 minutes and we judge them on that. But everybody's got different issues in their lives and things that they're trying to cope with. So I think, that the documentary from that point of view gives supporters an insight and an understanding about what everybody's going through.
Also, you haven't seen the last 3 episodes, and they are very different to the first 3. There is a lot more that you're talking about the first 3, and I'm sitting here thinking there was so much that's happened.
Yeah.
You will see what I mean. Mikel goes mental at one point.
Don't spoil it. No, I
know,
haven't watched.
But I want to.
Can I mute her?
Mute me, because people are talking about it in the chat room. But you'll see, you do see a lot of the human element of Xhaka, Ben White. You get to see a lot, but I think as time's going on, it's getting less and less. They know the cameras are there. They don't really care. They're just getting on with it. You see a lot more of. It's fascinating around the Aubameyang. I mean, honestly, how that even started, what was going on during it, and what happened at the end. I mean, it's fascinating. I mean, I don't remember the fact that Aubameyang just went to Barcelona without Arsenal even knowing. He turns up at Barcelona. I mean, this is factual. It's not just rumour. It was, honestly, they probably couldn't have picked a better year in the last 10 years. Well, maybe 10 years or so, maybe winning a cup. But for dramatical content, because wow. And obviously we've, I can't go too far into it because you haven't seen it, but Oh, I loved it. I'm obsessed. I spent 3 hours watching it last night. As soon as I got home from work, we eat and we just watch it. It's just brilliant. And yes, of course, there is the element that we know what's coming up because we don't get fourth. And it'll be I'm really interested to see the dressing room after Crystal Palace and the dressing room after Newcastle, but also before Newcastle. I want to see what went on there. But anyway, moving on. Let's move on because obviously you haven't seen it. So, Alan, Arsenal have been quite busy in the transfer market during the summer. For a change, it's all looking a bit more positive. And one of the, most favourable signings is Jesus from City.
Yeah.
What did you think about that when he joined us?
Yeah, I'm really pleased. Obviously, wearing the number 9, which is the shirt I wore. And with that comes responsibility, expectation. You're the centre forward for Arsenal. You're expected to score goals and lead the line week in, week out. And I think I'm hoping he relishes that. From what I've heard from him and seen, I think it is that kind of thing. He's coming from Man City where he was playing on the right-hand side. He was playing in the middle occasionally. He wasn't a first choice, but he's come to Arsenal, a big club where he is the centre forward. And I know what that's like. And I know what's expected of him. And although he's not a young lad, what is he, 25 or something? He's had great experience at Man City. He's got a winning mentality, and he should be mature enough now to realise what he's got to do and what he's got to produce for the team. I think hearing various coaches at the club are delighted with what he brings to the team, that movement, that pace, something that they didn't quite have under Lacazette and Aubameyang. It's transformed the team almost. But at the end of the day, it's about scoring goals. And I think he'll get a good few. I think it's a really good signing. He seems to have settled in quite well, really well, actually. So, for whatever he costs, 50 million, whatever, I think that's a great signing. I'm not saying it's the final piece in the jigsaw, but I think it moves us forward, Amanda, to where we were before.
Yeah. Can I ask a quick question about target men? So this is something that I've heard a lot. I listen to a lot of podcasts. I read a lot of Arsenal blogs and stuff. And a lot of us are talking about, we're very happy with Gabriel Jesus leading the line. We've got Eddie Nketiah as a backup. There's loads of people that are talking about, do we need an actual target man to be third choice? I just wanted to get your general thoughts on that, because I was thinking about this morning and thinking, who's going to want to come in at, third choice as a target man, potentially just getting time off the bench? And what sort of player do you think, if we were looking for, okay, what happens to Gabriel Jesus if he gets injured and we've got Eddie Nketiah, we need somebody else? Do you think the club are just thinking, have a third choice as someone like Martinelli? Or do you think there is a place for somebody who could be that target man? And if so, I don't really want to say who, because there's a billion names out there, but the type of player that you think would work.
From the outside looking in, Chris, I would say that they would be looking elsewhere in terms of the positions. I won't be wrong, but they've got Jesus, they've got Nketiah, Martinelli perhaps. I think their priorities maybe lie in midfield. We know about their interest in Tielemans at Leicester. You need a bit of luck with injuries anywhere in the pitch. But you're hoping that Jesus can be fit for the most of the season. You're hoping that Nketiah can develop, can improve in the way that we saw him at the end of last year. And you're hoping that will be enough. I mean, it's so difficult, isn't it? I mean, everybody's after a striker that can get 20 goals. Of course they are. I'm just really encouraged by how Arsenal are going about their business. about they seem to have targets lined up early on in the transfer window. You look at Man United, and it seems to be a scattergun approach. Thank goodness we aren't in that ballpark. We seem to be much more organised, and that should encourage the fans.
It's interesting, actually. One of the things that I was talking about this on the pod, Chris and I were on Sunday, is I've got a lot of Man City mates and all different, not just one group. And the minute it was mooted that he was coming to us and it was all rumours and stuff, they all messaged me and said, he's going to be phenomenal and we love him and we don't want him to go, but we understand he has to. Get him to get a few more goals. He's going to be outstanding. But not only that, Al, he brings a wealth of experience. He looks like he's already been there 5 years and he's not captain material, but he's settled in. He's got that Champions League winning mentality, which none of our boys have. So it's so needed. And, obviously Lacazette's gone and we wish him well. And it's really interesting. There's quite a bit of Lacazette last night as well. And you realise how hard he did work for us. And I mean, we knew that anyway, but we needed more goals, obviously. But with Jesus, I just think it's so exciting and interesting. You touch on about how our transfer policy is looking again last night. I can't keep going into it, but again last night, you see a lot of work that Edu and the coaches. It's fascinating. I'm absolutely loving this program because I think Edu's going to come off a lot higher respected than he was. I remember our last season, I went to the third game of the season. I went to the Etihad and I bumped into Edu outside. My boyfriend went, there's Edu. Well, you never go. How many times am I going to meet an invincible? So you just go, don't you? Just go over there, have a nice picture.
Yeah.
And it was really upsetting because at that second, I didn't know whether to upload it because he was absolutely despised at the beginning of last season. But I did upload it. He's an invincible. And it was really weird because as he left, I went, sort out our club. And he looked at me like I was mental because probably didn't even understand what I meant anyway. And obviously we got absolutely hammered by City. But I hope he's got a lot more respect than what he has previously because he works so hard. Oh, I really wish you lot had seen the program from last night because you'll understand what I mean when you watch it about Edu. What sort of job do you think he's doing, Al?
I think the relationship between director of football and manager is key. They need to be on the same page. They need to want the same players, the same type of players. And it seems to be the case between Arteta and Edu. So that's key. In years gone by, that wasn't the case. It seemed with Raul Sanlehi and Edu, it just seemed a bit mishmashy, typified by the signing of Pepe for 70 odd million, which was a disastrous signing, really. For that money. But now we're looking at a certain profile of player, a certain price, certain type of player that wants to, that's got the hunger, that's got the edge, that wants to prove himself in the game. It's not easy to get that sort of player, without question. So you've got to be on it. You've got to be on it early as well, and that's an encouraging thing for Edu. He came into the job, Amanda, really inexperienced, but he's learning on his feet. I think he's doing a really good job, and Arteta would probably agree with that because they seem quite a close fit, that pair.
Yeah. Do you know what's really interesting? You're just talking there about like getting the right type of people and characters. And I think some of the signings, certainly starting last summer, that they made have shown that. Like they're clearly going for a certain cultural type of fit. I had a question actually that was kind of Ramsdale related, but sort of not. So last summer, we signed Ramsdale, and I'll be honest with you. So I write a daily blog. I wrote, I don't know why we're signing him. You know, what's he done? I didn't really know enough about the player. It didn't really impress me as a signing. But within about 3 or 4 games of him playing, fantastic. And I was just thinking, when Amanda said, obviously, you were coming on, I was just thinking, I wonder if there was any players that were during your sort of time that you thought, when they came into the club, or it doesn't matter whether it's Leicester or Arsenal, that you kind of, the manager brought in and all of you players sort of thought, oh, that's a bit of a random one. But he ended up turning absolutely fantastic. Is there anyone that comes to mind that you'd be happy to talk about? Because like a player, I guess, like that's what I'm saying, a player that all the players around you are saying, oh, that's a bit of a random one, interesting, and then suddenly he just explodes.
I mean, we were talking about the likes of Lee Dixon, Stevie Bold, came from Stoke, came from the old first division, or the second division as it was then. We were in the first division, and you're thinking, oh, you're getting players from the second tier. You know, how are they going to cope with a top flight? I thought probably that's the closest I could get to it, Chris. Players that needed to prove themselves, had something to do, but the gaffer obviously had scouted them, and he thought that they could make the step up. So I think those sorts of players. I mean, Nigel Winterburn, another one. The gaffer was recruiting from the lower divisions, getting players at cheap prices, if you like. And I mean, I came into it just before those lads, so I didn't think about it too much. But in hindsight, you know, they were bold moves, really. You know, he was getting players for relatively cheap prices from the tier just below the top flight. Players that he saw or he thought could make a big impression, that could do the job, and obviously they could. So I would say those 3 really.
Yeah.
You got anything? Did you want to ask him, Chris, about the other question about strikers, or have you done that?
I've done that one. I did have one about stats, which I find fascinating. Obviously, you work at Sky and stuff, so you get access to a lot of statistical information now. Yeah. And one of the questions that I was thinking was, like, obviously, when you were playing, it was number of appearances, number of goals, and that was probably about it. For those people that might be in the chat or watching this now, I'm just about young enough that I remember, or old enough that I remember seeing you play regularly. For those people that didn't see you play, the kids that have grown up in this XG, you know, aerial duels won, you know, passes, you know, assists and stuff like that. If you were to describe those people now, if they were to say, well, what would be your kind of stats that you'd come across favourably on if they were monitoring that in the 80s and 90s, what do you think you'd get? What do you think would be your standout stats?
Assists, I think probably assists. I remember a couple of years ago somebody saying that I'd got more assists in a season than Ozil, when Ozil was, you know, publicised to have got in. You know, he was the big thing in times of creating chances. You know, he's the man. He makes things happen. We didn't really think of it back then. You could pass the ball square to somebody and they would rifle it in from 20 yards, and you wouldn't think, oh, I've got an assist. But I think probably that. You know, just, you know, various little touches, nod, heads down, square passes to somebody, whether it was Merce or Ian Wright or whoever. Probably it'd be interesting to go back and have a look at those figures, those numbers, to see how they compare with today, really.
So Andy Love has just said, Alan was a true target striker. You were. I just want to welcome everyone to the chat. Sorry, I've just been listening to Alan. I forget everyone's in the chat room. Listen, if you want to ask Alan some questions, time to get them up, and I'll type them up and I'll get them up for him. But you were our number 9, weren't you?
Yeah, I mean the number 9 shirt, Amanda, has been a little bit jinxed, hasn't it? When you think down the years, I always remember signing for Arsenal and Steve Burtonshaw, who was the chief scout, taking me out to the centre circle at Highbury and, looking at the North Bank, the Clock End, the West, the East End, and saying, Alan, a lot of people have worn the number 9 here, but not many have been successful. And I thought, oh my God, what am I walking into here? But subsequently, I know what he meant. There is a pressure that comes with that number. And I'm really glad that Jesus has taken it on, because you take that shirt on, it's not just a number, it's a responsibility. You are the central striker, the chief goal getter for Arsenal. And I think Jesus is ready for that. I really do. At his age, he's done his apprenticeship, if you like, at City. And I think we're getting him at a good time. So hopefully he can take it forward in the next few seasons.
It's funny because interesting that you're saying that about like the history of the number 9. It does feel like it's almost been parked to one side for. It feels like a lot of the Emirates era. Like I'm trying to think back to all of the number 9s we have. Obviously, we had Lacazette. We've had like Park Ju-sung. The number 9 has almost been it's almost fallen out of fashion. So it's quite nice to get like a focal point number 9 finally, and somebody that we're also invested in, I think.
Yeah, I think so. Yeah, we talk a lot about number 10s, false number 9s, don't we? But there's nothing like a centre forward who will be in the box, with every move, ball comes into the box, he's attacking it, he's getting ahead of his striker. There's nothing like that. Somebody that can meet a ball at the far post with a thumping header. It almost seems a little bit unfashionable, but I think Jesus is capable of that. So let's hope that he can deliver, and I think he can over the next few years.
Okay, so I've got a question for you. Lynn Simpson, welcome to the show. Question for Alan. People are saying that Jesus is like Ian Wright. Would you agree?
Not at the moment. No, I think he's got a way to go. I mean, Wrighty was just one of the best, probably the best finisher I've ever played with. I played with Gary Lineker, who was obviously a top striker, but Wrighty could do it all in terms of finishes. His overall game, you wouldn't put him 10 out of 10, but, give him a half a chance to score a goal, and he was just magnificent. So Jesus has got a lot of work to do. I think he can service the team, in a way that really helps them in terms of his movement and that. And at the end of the day, as a number 9, you need to score goals. So people will look at his figures at the end of the campaign and judge him on that. But, I think his teammates especially, Amanda, will think, yeah, he's made us better. He's somebody that we can work with and we can get better with as him as the central striker.
Yeah. Do you know 2 words I've just written down that kind of remind me of Ian Wright? Explosive and tenacity. Because he had that kind of explosion of very, very something. He could do stuff very, very quickly, couldn't it? It was that explosion. I wonder if that's where the kind of similarities are coming from. I can't remember who'd asked the question, but maybe that's part of it, Amanda. It's that kind of explosive tenacity, maybe.
Yeah, I mean, listen, Ian Wright was my hero. Even when I've been with Kevin Campbell on pods for years, he knew. I say, no, it's Righty. That's Righty. He had that cheeky, he was just tenacious. I mean, I remember sitting at Highbury in the East End and watch him, should I say Alan tackle Peter Schmeichel? I think maybe not. That's the correct word, but that's the word I'm going to use. And we all went, like that. He had no fear. He was fun. He was just everything that Arsenal were lacking at that time. And he just scored non-stop. And yeah, we can only pray that Jesus becomes like this, like Wrighty as well. But again, you know, Wrighty had some brilliant players around him. You know, it does help that you look now, Chris, at what Jesus has got around him. Let's start with Martinelli. What do you think of him, Al?
I like Martinelli, Amanda. I really do. I think there's a lot more to come from him. I think under Arteta, he will develop as a footballer. And the great thing for players like Martinelli is he's got Odegaard, he's got Saka, he's got Smith Rowe, he's got really creative players, people that can feed off him, that can read him, anticipate, you know, build that understanding. So he's got that lovely pace as well. And a lot of people thinking, well, could he play through the middle as the years go on? Would he adjust to a central striking role? I'm not sure. Arteta would be able to answer that. But I think we're lucky in that we've got all these players that can make things happen, you know, that can create chances. You look at the stats last season, and the Gunners didn't score anywhere near the amount of goals that they should have. And I'm hoping they can rectify that this season. But yeah, I love to see Martinelli play. You know, he's positive. He makes things happen. He attacks his fullback. Yeah, I really like him.
He's just got a wealth of talent around Jesus. You've got ESR when he becomes fit. You've got Saka. You've got Odegaard. It's just one thing, Chris, isn't it? It's just exciting where we've not been excited for so long.
Yeah, I think it's because they got the business done early. So that's the first time in a long time that we've actually got business done early. So it feels like there's been a pre-season. The last time that I can remember, I think it was John Cross writing a piece, or he was on a radio show or something talking about Arsenal's pre-season, was the season where I think it was 2013-14 where Aaron Ramsey started really, really well, and it was that season that he just exploded. And I remember John Cross saying, this Arsenal team look ready. They've had a very good pre-season. I'm sure Alan could probably elaborate on this a bit more, because I've never done a professional pre-season before, and I'm sure it's extremely painful. But I'd imagine the benefit of having that proper pre-season where everything seems set up, it's why we're all excited, because we're seeing the results of that now from day one. What's your take on that from a pre-season point of view, Al?
I mean, it's great to have everybody that you want in the dressing room at the start or towards the start of the pre-season, so that you can. It's not just what you can do on the training pitch and in matches. It's when you're in a hotel, you know, the traveling, you're together, you're chatting, you're forging relationships, you're creating a bond between players, and that's what's absolutely vital in a good team, having that togetherness. So any manager, any coach would want to try and do his business early, which Arteta has done for the most part. So yeah, I think that's really important. That, you know, that relationship between players that we don't really see from the outside, but you know, you get a glimpse inside in that dressing room, and or you know, whatever, and who's mates with who, you know, who's having a laugh with who, and that transfers to the pitch. You know, if you've got that understanding, that belief in each other, that trust, it can work wonders on the pitch on a match day.
Okay, I've got a good question here, actually. It's from Robert Stevens. I've seen a lot of people say we won't finish in the top four. Do you think Arsenal should prioritise Europa League, or do you think we will finish in the top four? Thanks, Robert, for that lovely question.
Well, you're going for the top 4 at the start of the season. Of course you are. Why would you settle for anything less? We weren't far off last season, obviously. And we've got a better squad now than last season, I think that's fair to say. And unfortunately, Spurs, you could argue, have got a better squad. Chelsea, what's going to happen there? We don't quite know. Can they get a centre forward to kind of complete their squad? But you've got to aim for the top 4. Arsenal have been in that Champions League for lots and lots of seasons. We took it for granted, really, didn't we? Under Arsene Wenger. Yeah. But we're building towards it. So it's going to be tight. It is. But hopefully they can make it.
It's interesting because I want to go for the Europa League. I want to win that trophy because that gets us in the Champions League anyway. So it's a win-win situation. Chris, you
know what's interesting? So last season, how many of us at the beginning of the season thought, yeah, we're going to go for the Champions League and we're going to try and we're going to be within a couple of points of it? And I think not very many of us did. So I think that from my personal opinion, and certainly from people that I've spoken to when I go to the games and stuff like that, everyone's viewpoint changes during a season. Like there's so many variables that are involved. You almost can't make that distinction right now. I hope we win tomorrow. We've got a series of games before the next international break in which if we win all of those games, momentum starts to build. And all of a sudden, that's what happened last season. We had the 3 terrible games at the start. Momentum started to build after that. We had a run of really, really good games. We had a little blip where we played Everton and Man United. It wasn't great, but the momentum pretty much just carried us through until injuries just knocked us for 6 towards the end of the season. If we had the Europa League, if we had that same season this year, maybe Arteta would prioritise, but I don't think he'd prioritise until he got to like March time, because that's when you're going to know, okay, how close are we? And what we don't want is that season that Unai Emery got us to the Europa League final and then effectively chucked again. I think it was Palace at home and Brighton at home. He chucked those 2 games by rotating the team. We ended up losing them, and that cost us the top 4, and we ended up putting it all on the Europa League. I'm like you. I want to go and see. Like Alan is all too familiar with our European history because he's the only man that scored a winning goal for us to actually lift the European trophy. I was going to drop that one in there for you, Alan. So, but I haven't seen that apart from when I was sat at home watching that goal go in against Parma. That's been it for me. Other than that, it's been disappointment. So I want to see a Europa League trophy more than anything else. But you can't just. You can't make that distinction now, I don't think.
No, well, it's mad, isn't it, really, to think we've only won 2 European trophies in the club's history, a club of Arsenal size. But if you had a choice between winning the Europa League and getting in the top 4, what would you take? I mean, I would take getting in the top 4. Obviously, you get in the Champions League by winning the Europa League, but you could finish 7th or something and you wouldn't have had a particularly good season. I think it's that consistency, that ability to compete with the big boys that you want now to try and do. So to finish 4th, I think would be an amazing achievement, and to get back dining at the top table, as they say, that would be, I think, for Arteta, the number 1 achievement.
Okay, so I'm very much pro Arteta, but I always like to hear differing opinions. So I'm going to put this comment up now from someone called Sam Fisher. Thanks for your comment, Sam. I completely disagree, but you're totally right entitled to your opinion. Alan Smith, why not tell the truth about Arsenal and Arteta? He's a terrible manager and we haven't improved since Emery after spending nearly 400 million.
Say what you feel, Sam. Say what you feel.
Yeah, don't beat around the bush.
Yeah, I'm not. Yeah, I don't get that really, Amanda. I don't get that. We finished 8th twice on the trot. Nobody's got a right to finish in the top 4. Arsenal obviously did. won the league multiple times, finished in the top 4, played in the Champions League, but nobody's got a divine right to do that. So we've got ground to make up, it's a slow burn with Arsenal. I really do think it's a gradual improvement, and I think he's doing that, Arteta, with the players that he's buying. He's improving the squad, and we'll see. Even if he doesn't finish in the top 4 this season, I think, and I hope that it'll be a better season than last. Even if we finish 5th, same as we did, I think, and I hope that it'll be better, because I think the squad is better. So, you can't jump from there to there in one season. It just doesn't happen normally.
Doesn't it?
Yeah.
I think that's. I look, no disrespect to Sam. Thank you for joining the show. Appreciate your comment. I'm not sure how old you are. Maybe one of my younger viewers, but I think patience is needed. So Carl Stark, on the other hand, said, Sam, personally, I think if you don't believe we've improved under Arteta, then you aren't paying attention. But that's only my opinion. You find that it's very much either yes or black or white with it, and I don't really get it, because I'll say this again. When I watch football, I don't start each season going, well, if the manager doesn't achieve this, he's out. You got all season. Can you imagine doing that with George Graham? Imagine if the United fans did it with Ferguson. He wouldn't have even lasted. So, anyway, go on, Chris. Sorry.
I was just going to say, I think some context is needed here, because when Arteta took over, I think we were 16th, because Unai Emery, it was spiralling quite badly. So the first thing that he had to do, which I think most Arsenal fans recognised, is stem the tide, because we were conceding goals. We were conceding so many shots on target. It was all going a bit wrong. Yeah. So we went from like 16th to 8th. We also won an FA Cup in that time. Now, I don't want to play the look at me, I'm a match-going fan card, but honestly, having been to see Arsenal win FA Cups and Cups, it's the greatest feeling ever. And even though we got sat at home, it was amazing to watch us beat Chelsea in that final. Nobody's ever going to take that memory away from me. I've got a Tottenham fan. I think I said this on the pod the other day. Went for a barbecue, or he came over for a barbecue a couple of weeks ago. He turns up in his Tottenham shirt, has a smile. I said, "How you doing?" He went, "Yeah, I'm all right, mate. Champions League." And I went, "Yeah, I'm good." And the first thing I said to him was, "I've physically seen my team in Wembley winning a cup. What about you?" And he just sort of slunk off to the back of the garden. It means a lot. So, again, context. 16th to 8th in the first season, we win an FA Cup. That lockdown season where we finished 8th, it wasn't good. But if you look at some of the mental results that were happening all across the division there, lots of teams were going away from home and winning football matches. It's not to excuse what happened. It was a poor season. However, if you look at the team, even then, from the beginning of that season to now, he's basically gutted the team and started again with a certain type of player, we talked about this earlier, certain characteristics, certain culture. That's what he's trying to breed in. So just to throw this away and to look at numbers like finished 8th, finished 8th, finished 5th, it doesn't actually tell the whole story. Just my opinion.
Yeah. No, I agree with that, Chris. Totally. It's context. It's seeing the overall picture, isn't it? Not expecting something that's unrealistic. As much as you'd love to see Arsenal competing at the top, we are still a good distance from Man City and Liverpool. We have to accept that. Money talks in modern day football, and thankfully the owners have backed up Arteta with funds. You can't knock them for that. I know there's a wave of negative thought towards Stanley Kroenke and his team, but what can you say about them? They've backed the manager. He spent money in the last 2 summers, especially. So let's hope that he spent that money wisely.
Okay, so we're going to move on. Thank you for your questions, and I will bring up some more later on. We've got Alan for about another 10 minutes or so, Al. Is that okay?
Yeah.
Cool. Right, so your old captain.
Oh, yeah.
Yes.
Tone.
Yeah. Super tone. Looks like Mr. Arsenal's going on Strictly Come Dancing.
Can you believe that? Can you believe
Can he
it?
dance? Can he actually dance?
I mean, I've seen him on the dance floor, and it's not a pretty sight.
No, I've seen him as well years ago.
So we've got a WhatsApp group between the 89 lads, and there was one or two comments about it. So that, I mean, I have liked to watch Strictly over the last few years. Well, the last couple of years I've ducked out, but this year I should be watching it.
Oh,
Yeah,
it's
with
exactly
Tone.
what I said. I haven't watched it for years. I used to watch it many years ago and just find being busy. And as soon as I knew it was on, that's it, Saturday nights, Mr. Arsenal, Strictly Come Dancing. I mean, you're being polite, Al, because he's your friend, but I don't have to be polite. I've seen him dance and he can't. So I want him to win it straight away now. I'm like, he's got to win this. Let's see the improvements each week. And as you know, being an ex-footballer, it'll be so super competitive, won't he? He won't want to lose or be like voted out, will he, Al?
No, I can't wait to see who he's paired with, which dancer. But I've seen him on the dance floor a few times. He came to our wedding. That was back in 1988, and he wasn't the best then. And I've seen him a few times since then. But fair play to Tone. I think all the lads can't wait to see him.
Would you ever do it if they asked?
I'm not sure whether my knees and my ankles would take it, to be honest with you. But yeah, it's I don't know. It's good competition, isn't it? And let's hope he does well. Let's hope he keeps the flag flying for the Gunners.
Oh, it's just going to be funny. It's just going to be brilliant. Can't wait to watch.
Yeah.
Right, let's move on. Tomorrow, we're back at the Emirates. First home game of the season. We're playing your old club, Leicester. And I was just looking back on some of last season. They didn't do a bad job. They ended 8th, but they were 17 points behind us. We beat them 2-0 in both games, and I'll never forget the Leicester away game. We ripped them to pieces. It was the most amazing game. And Ramsdale, the super... I mean, I don't remember much about games. I just don't because I've watched so many. And I don't only watch Arsenal. I watch loads of other football. But I'll never forget Ramsdale's save. It was phenomenal, wasn't it? Even Schmeichel commented.
It was, yeah, it was. And one of those games and saves that kind of endeared him to the Arsenal public. Leicester they're not in a great place, are they, really? They've not made any signings. Schmeichel's gone. Tielemans coming to Arsenal.
Oh, is he? Have you got any news?
He's gone quiet on us.
I think he's frozen. Is he like in a statuesque position?
Just as you were about to tease that Tielemans rumour, just out of him there, Amanda.
I'm hoping we'll get Alan back in a second.
Well, do you want me to do some filling? I can fill. Talk about Leicester.
Hold on. He's back.
Lost you there. Can you hear me?
Yes, we can. Did you say Tielemans is coming to Arsenal?
We okay? Can you hear me, Amanda?
Yes.
Yep.
Can you hear us?
Yeah. I mean, given Leicester's problems, let's hope they can get 3 points against my old club. You know, I don't want to see the Foxes struggle this season, but Arsenal should go into that game favourites.
The thing is, though, Alan, it's going to be about, I reckon, 36, 37 degrees when they start playing. It's going to be like an oven. It's got to affect the game, surely. It's got.
Yeah, we got a load of Brazilians. We'll be all right.
Oh, I think he's frozen again. Oh, just as we were talking about Tielemans.
I can't hear you, unfortunately.
Oh, ow. Why don't you log out and then come back in? I'll remove him. Hold on.
In the meantime, I'll do some filler. the consummate pros that we are on the show. I think it'll be an interesting game tomorrow. I have this weird kind of not nervousness, which is really odd, because normally I go to these games like quite pessimistic. It's a self-defense mechanism, but I'm going in tomorrow like quite positive, and I really hope that doesn't come back to bite me on the arse, because every time I go into games super positive, they end up messing up somehow. So my hope is that we get.
Go on, carry on.
My hope is that we get the same 30 minutes that we got against Crystal Palace, but if they can extend it by an extra 40 minutes, if we play like we did for that first 30 minutes against Palace for 60, 70 minutes, we'll get more goals than just the one. And I think we should do enough to win it.
So what's your prediction, Chris?
I'd like to say a nice 2-0, but it'll probably end up being 6-6 or something ridiculous.
Okay. Can you hear us, Al? Oh, no. We got a nice 50-odd minutes. Can you hear us at all?
No. I think he's gone.
Oh.
How about reading out some of the predictions in the chat? Gary Ormston, 3-1.
Hold on. Are you back, Al? He's there in speed. He's there. We can all see him, but we can't hear him. I don't think he can hear us.
Carl Stark, 4-0 to the Arsenal. Rich the Gooner, 3-1.
You read them out.
Everyone's doing quite a few 2-goal score lines. Do you know what? If we can get one early, get the second one before half time to stop my heart from beating a little bit too, pulsating a little bit too much, I'll absolutely take that. I think it's going to be difficult. Oh, JH, 3-2. Rob Stevens, I'll take that. Fiona Scott, I'll take that. 3-0 to the Arsenal. Albert, my old man, Albert. Top guy. 2-0 to the Arsenal. That's my prediction, Albert. That's mine too.
Albert JTV will be back on the show very soon. Miami Al. Well, everyone's gone for a win, haven't they? Albert's gone 2-0. Fee's gone 3-0. I can't remember what I said on Sunday.
I thought you never used to do predictions.
I don't, but I do now. Yes, much love to you as well. Thank you, Albert. Lynn Simpson thinks, I think that the first goal will be a penalty and Saka and Martinelli 3-1. It's so lovely to feel this positivity.
I'm loving that, Lynn. That's specific. Yeah. Can you tell me the actual minute that they'll score, and then I'll put a couple of quid on?
I'm trying to get Al back. If he doesn't, I'll let you know in a few minutes. But thankfully, we got most of the show with him. 4-0 Martinelli involved in all. 47-49er. Andy 4-0. Lovely. Listen, absolutely lovely.
Take it.
I'm loving this positivity. I think I went 3-1. But if Craig's still listening, can you tell me, Craig? Because I can't remember.
3-1. Bougie Man says 3-1. So he's with you as well. I tell you what, the atmosphere tomorrow is going to be amazing. It will be electric. So
JH thinks Jesus to open his account. Be nice, wouldn't it?
That would be good. I think the atmosphere will be amazing, though, won't it?
I did get through everything. I mean, he's left us on a cliffhanger with Tielemans. He mentioned it. Perhaps he's heard something. Perhaps he hasn't. I don't know. But I don't think he can get back in, unfortunately. I think his Wi-Fi's shot. That's because he sat in the garden, Christopher. See, we're inside, sweltering. But if he does come back in the next minute or so, I'll bring him back in. So we got Leicester tomorrow, haven't we? 3:00. Whoever's going to the Emirates. Apparently, there's a train strike. It's 37 degrees. I have to be honest. I'm dreading it. I'm going to just sit there sweating buckets, and I feel for the players. I really do.
This is lovely. We don't have to play it though. They're professionals. No, they're here to do a job. We don't have to play it. Just get your factor 50 on. You'll be absolutely fine. Slather yourself up with factor 50. So you're basically got an inch layer worth of sunscreen on. Get those sunglasses on. Nice little Arsenal visor. Maybe an Arsenal bucket cap.
I've got an Arsenal bucket hat I'm wearing that I wear on holiday. Yeah. But the funny thing is we're in the shade where I sit in the East End upper. But it's just going to be so uncomfortably hot. And yes,
Block 5 lower is in the sun. So I'm going to be just scorching.
I'm dreading that. Carl Stark says, I want to be added to the 89 WhatsApp group. I do too.
Don't we all?
Can you imagine? And one of my questions to Al was going to be, what's his favourite goal? Palmer 94. or Anfield 89? I don't think I've ever asked him that, weirdly, considering apparently that's all I talk about. Right, I think Al can't get back in, so I'm going to thank him. We've done nearly an hour. Big up to Smudger for coming on. It's just fantastic that he always takes time out, and he really does. He's always so I can't think of the word because I'm so tired. Sorry. He's so generous with his time with me as well, especially over the years. With the hold on, we might have some movement. Has he gone running back inside? No. Can you hear us, Al?
Oh, we're back. Yeah, I can hear you, Amanda. Sorry about that.
I nearly was saying goodnight to everybody. We've just done our predictions for tomorrow, but you left us on a bit of a cliffhanger. You went Tielemans at Arsenal, right. And then it just froze.
I know.
No, you can't do. I know.
I think we'd like him at Arsenal, wouldn't we?
Yeah, but do you know something we don't?
Would we?
We all do.
No, not at all. But he's refused to sign another contract, so I think he's going to leave the Foxes. So he looks like somebody that quite fancies the Gunners. But I think he'd be a good addition.
I think it would be. I think that would be the icing for us. That's for sure. Al. Okay, you give us your prediction for tomorrow.
Oh God. No, I've got to go for an Arsenal win. Good performance against Palace to a winning start, unlike last season. Hopefully, with Fulham and Bournemouth to come, hopefully, it'd be a full house. So I think it will be.
Okay, cool. So when you went off and came back, I said to everybody that I was going to ask this question because I'm not sure I ever have. What is your favourite goal? Is it Palmer 94 or is it Anfield 89?
No, it's Anfield 89. Not because it was spectacular, but because it was so important.
I'll finish that word. Important. Yeah. Even I know the word he was going to use. Oh, Al, you and your Wi-Fi outside. I think we're
definitely trying to get 89.
Right, Al, we're going to say goodnight to you so I'm able to say it before you freeze and go again.
Yeah.
Oh, no, don't. Yeah. I just want to say thank you. You are so generous with your time. You are a brilliant podcast guest. I've loved talking to you over the years. How many times you've been on the show with me? It's been so long. So many times that we still have so much to talk about. So I really appreciate your time.
No worries, Amanda. Nice to speak to you and to you, Chris.
Nice to meet you, Alan.
All right, mate.
It's fantastic.
Take care.
Thank you, Al. You take care. Go and have a nice cold drink.
Cheers. Thank you.
See you soon.
Bye-bye.
Bye, Smudger. Bless him. I wanted just to say goodbye because I don't want it to freeze without me saying goodnight. And to everybody else, thank you so much for your continued support in the chat room. It's just lovely chatting to everybody, and we are all looking forward to tomorrow. I know it's going to be hot, and I know I'm moaning, but I know there's millions of people around the world that would love to be at the Emirates tomorrow. So I'll slap my hand for moaning. I'll put my sun cream on. I'll put my bucket hat on, get my sunglasses, get my season ticket and head down to the Emirates tomorrow afternoon. If you go in, please take care. Please take loads of water. I'm such a mother, honestly. I'm like Mother Arsenal. Christopher, are you off to the pub? Oh, no, you're taking your wife tomorrow, aren't you?
Yes, me and the management going to go along. She's got her new pink shirt that she'll be displaying. So we will be getting ourselves to the round. Going to take her for some food beforehand, and then maybe meet a couple of the gents, Mark and Andrew and Steve, and maybe even Giles beforehand in the Duchess. I think is where we're going to have a little drink, and then looking forward to it.
Please say hello to everyone from me. I really miss seeing them all. I must get Fifey on here. I must get him on here. And
Good
Giles, who used to be my podcast husband about 10 years ago, doesn't want to do pods anymore, so I can't get him on. Anyway, thanks to everyone in the chat room. Chris, thanks. You've been a superb right-hand man, as they say. It's lovely. See how great Smudger is. He's lovely to chat with, isn't he?
Yeah, really, really good chat. Really, really enjoyed it. And now looking forward to tomorrow.
Yes, and Sunday night, Chris, myself, Cookie, Danny, we're part of the Same Old Arsenal, which is the umbrella for the Always Arsenal show. Craig is back hosting. Fantastic, Craig. It's audio only. It's not live, but it gets uploaded about an hour later onto all the platforms. So please go and subscribe to the Same Old Arsenal here. Please press like. I will be back. I don't know when, but all I'm going to say is up the Arsenal for tomorrow. Let's do this for Maria. Let's all take care tomorrow. Let's get 3 points and let's continue winning. Thank you for your fantastic support. I love you all in the chat room. Even those ones that don't agree with me, you're all welcome. Good night, everyone. Take care.
Bye.
Always Arsenal.